Hello everyone, this is AJ992 and today we're back for another brand new video, and it is Saturday night, and a Saturday night in which we've scored 4 goals and we're absolutely buzzing and loving what we've just witnessed. No. But hey, maybe yous are, ladies and gentlemen, that's fine if you're that way. There were spells in that game, and if it sounded disrespectful, spells that should never ever be happening. Now I know we made a lot of changes in the game of football, I know we've done a lot of this, but are we really going to try and even give a resemblance of an excuse for being in a game of football with a League 1 side that just got beat off a League 2 side? Are we going to try to do that, you know what I mean? Ibrox? Nah. I can't do it, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. It's very good to qualify because that's not always a given, unfortunately. But I can't sit here and pretend there wasn't that Taylor Swift song gone round and round the noggin where I've seen this story before, but I didn't like the ending. Now I can imagine there'll be a couple of people going out there saying, wait a minute, why am I getting Taylor Swift references when I'm here to see and watch and talk about a sport? Have I accidentally turned on Sky Sports coverage of the NFL? Well, no, sorry for that painful reminder, but again, there was some familiar worry in the spells of this game and the pattern, especially defensively. In that period after being 3-2 up versus Alloa when they pulled it back, there was that nerviness and we're all going, no, we're flashing back to last year. We've seen it all go wrong versus a lower league opposition. You're supposed to spank in the early or any stage of the cup competitions, and it was threatening to be ugly, but one of the few positives you can actually take away from this game of football, my personal opinion, is the actual ending to this game, what we got, and that was Finlay Curtis coming off the bench, playing in a different position than when he started the season. But the best thing to say about that 18-year-old kid is he's picked off exactly where he left off when he was given the opportunity to start games of football for his club, and that's put the ball into the back of the net. He was starting games scoring, got bombed out for whatever reason. Now he's came back in and tucked the game away and settled every Rangers fan's nerves. And look, I'm not going to surprise anyone by sitting saying I'm a big fan of Finlay Curtis. You know that, we've talked about him for a very, very long time. Here's one we had a wee eye on, especially when he was starting to make a wee bit of name for himself, but we were cautious. We didn't want to put too much on him because we've seen the high risers, the big scorers, the big performers in youth football no translate it to the top game. But Finlay's got something just a wee bit extra in my personal opinion, and he is definitely one that's worth putting and developing and investing game time in, because I think he could kick on and be a really, really talented player. And also from the commitment aspect, you sit and look on whether he is coming off the bench or if he's starting games of football, you can understand and really see he absolutely loves being at Rangers. He understands the magnitude of what it is to be able to play for Rangers Football Club, which on one hand must be the most difficult job in the world because the expectations are through the roof, the pressure is through the roof. You need to win every single game, and not only win, but you need to win well and entertain the fan base. So I appreciate that it must be extremely, extremely difficult, but that's the difference of being a successful Rangers player and being a player that leaves and you go, oh, remember he was here, remember he was there. It was those that can go ahead and take that in their stride and can really appreciate and want to be here. And I think it just bleeds through when you look at the likes of Finlay Curtis. Every minute he's on the park, you can see him, he's willing to do everything. And it takes me back and it makes me think of a quote a wee while ago. I ran into the big Leon Balogun. I know he's caught a couple of the videos, shout out to the big man, but he said a quote that's just spurled into my brain and it's just implanted and it stays there forever. And he said to me, it's one thing knowing the club, it's another thing understanding the club, and that just planted again in my brain. And whenever I see these types of performances, whenever I see issues and problems at this club, I'm like Robocop, and I'm just scanning to see what percentage they're all in, or what I perceive to be the all percentages. And again, I see that with Curtis, and I didn't just see it with him only, by the way. There is other players in the dressing room you sit and say, yeah, we could probably buy in, we could do that. I know everybody likes big Jackie B, but I think Jack Butland, the way he talks and the way at least he tries to do the right things, you can tell he appreciates what it is to, after his career, to play at a club like this. You've heard the likes of Jermaine Defoe, who had a tremendous career. This club, all the goals that he scored, he says he wish he came here 10 years ago, because again, what this club gave and what it made him feel. Right, it is an absolute privilege, and the more people that's got that mentality is the more chances we've got to become a successful Rangers team. And I think that's the challenge that Russell Martin's got to go. It's not just to bring in this player to do this role and this player to do this role. It's up here. But I can imagine there's going to be people shouting at me in the comments section below being, wait a minute, CJ, we won this game, you know what I mean? That's this time for celebration and being happy. I am happy, trust me, you know what I mean? But we should be beaten the likes of Alloa, who, no disrespect to them, you know what I mean, they're a League One club, they come to Ibrox, they score 2 goals, they work like that, they run their arse off like that. Full credit to the way they approached this game of football, you know what I mean, they weren't hammer throwers and ever, but they actually tried, they committed men forward, they caused some issues, and they'd done what they needed to do, playing well above their station, coming to Ibrox, you know what I mean, scoring 2 goals, full credit to them. But again, at the exact same time as where, yes, we won this game of football, was it at least convincing? Was it starting to show that we could potentially be a success and have something to cheer about this season? No, there were still some glaring issues and glaring weaknesses, especially in that back line, which game after game after game, no matter the rotation, no matter what we actually try, is still all over the place. So yes, it's great to win a game of football, absolutely, I'm delighted, and I will sleep with a smile on my face, but I'm always going to continue to glance at that word called standards and hope we get back to what we should be at this football club, and that's absolutely smashing teams that come from League One to Ibrox. They shouldn't be getting 2 goals, they should never be in a game versus us, and that's where we need to get back to, that level of fear factor. Do you remember a week ago when you had, I don't know if it was a Dundee captain or it was a Dundee player getting interviewed with Premier Sports after the game, standing on the surface at Ibrox talking about they weren't in any fear coming here? Does that not annoy you and drive you mental as a Rangers fan, that that's how we get looked at now when there's teams like that? No disrespect again to Dundee, but they're coming up here, no baller, got nothing to fear because they fancy it coming up here, yet we've got to sit and cheerlead when we scrape over the line versus a League One side, Alloa, who just got beat 3 days ago, versus a League Two side in terms of Stranraer. Stranraer, yes, Peter Kay's Phoenix Knights, that one. But before we talk about the game of football that's obviously going to have some ugly twists and turns, and I do want to briefly talk about a couple of my positives. Again, I've gave Finlay Curtis right away a wee bit of shout, loved his impact in the game of football, but it was another 18-year-old at the other side that I thought done himself pretty damn well in a Rangers shirt, especially now he's officially allowed to use it. You know what I mean? He's been here for a couple of weeks, but now he's allowed to play. Thanks for that. Thanks. Paperwork. But in terms of Mikey, went ahead and made his debut. Now again, we are looking at the likes of Alloa and the players he's against, but again, you can only ever beat what's in front of you, and what I saw from Mikey is actually some positive things, you know what I mean? It was bright, he was taking his men on, he was drifting inside, but he was also trying to go to the byline, he was creating some things, whipped in some dynamite crosses with his left foot, putting some good crosses with his right foot. It definitely looks like a player, and you can understand why Spurs have just slapped a long-term contract on him, and you can understand why he's the youngest ever player to play, or one of the youngest ever players to play in the under-21s. He's the youngest ever player to play for Spurs in terms of the Premier League, and he's the youngest ever player to win the old Europa League. You know what I mean? You can see why he's breaking through, and he's been making the strides that he is, and hopefully continues to make those strides in a Rangers shirt, because they certainly look positive. I'm very interested to see how he goes on. Now, I'd be interested to see if he could go out to the right hand side, but again, I don't think it's natural to his game. But you're just sort of glancing at the left hand side. Now you've got Gazima there, you've got Finlay Curtis that everyone's forgetting all the time, and then you've got Mikey Moore, and there is creativity, there is excitement there. It's just unfortunate we've not got that in other areas of the park. It seems to be shoehorned in one position, and it's one or the other, rather than having that spread out the team and being a mere balance creative side. But yeah, Mikey Moore for me was a positive in this game of football. Now, we peek behind the curtain. Sometimes when I've seen the team line up and I'm thinking about the game, and I almost like plant a seed of what I'm going to say in my video, you know what I mean? See if he makes a bold choice, we hear that, I'm thinking, right, that could be a funny thing, that could say that in terms of that, and I was really hoping I would have something to say in terms of our boy Bailey Rice, who was getting to start a game of football at left back. This football club, man, what's it? It's really pushing me to the edge, you know what I mean? How are we at this point of the season and we still don't actually have a left back sorted, troops? You know what I mean? Ridvan's kicked out, you know what I mean? Just gone, just find your move elsewhere to Turkey. Jeffrey looks like he's going to go back to Brazil. You've had Max Aarons playing out of position, and playing out of position horribly at left back. And then in this game of football, we had to watch Bailey frickin' Rice on the week that Lennon Miller, who was at the exact same spell, in fact regarded lower than Bailey Rice, has went ahead and secured a money move and grabbed a club transfer record for Motherwell. We're seeing our guy that was supposed to grab the bull by the horns get shoehorned into the left back spot. He's not been playing in the midfield because his movement off the ball isn't the greatest, and he needs to improve in those areas. That's what we keep hearing. It's off the ball, it's awareness. He needs to sharpen up there, needs to get quicker at, and then we shove him at the left back spot when we need some pace in there. Guess what happened to him? You know what I mean? Yes, it gets paced down the channel a couple of times, and it's absolutely frustrating that it didn't work out for him, and he obviously picked up an injury later on in the game, which we'll obviously break down in terms of the match recap. But it's just wee silly stuff like that. You're sitting looking, and then after that blunder, then another mistake at left back. We end up playing the last 45 minutes plus the couple minutes before the end of the first half, playing Tavernier, James Henry, out in the left back spot. What are we doing? There's a new ownership group, there's Kevin there, there's all this stuff, all this praise, all this goodwill from the fans that was given to those people. Well, now you've got a couple weeks left of the transfer window. Go and get us a left back. If you're selling Jeffy, if Ridvan's not tall enough to reach the training centre doors anymore, let's move them on. But let's go ahead and actually pull the frickin' trigger and bring folk in, you know what I mean? Oh, there's another potential loan coming. Oh, great. So free the back four during the rebuild, and new era's going to be a loan. Is that really putting any foundations in that's going to take this club going forward that we can build a spine on when three of the four won't be here in less than 12 months' time? Surely we've got to start pulling some triggers and going out there and getting an out-and-out number one left back. But again, I'm still screaming for it. I still want to see that trigger pulled in terms of a centre-half and a centre-back leader. That's what we need at this club, and I'm really going to keep an eye on, and I'm really hoping I'm sitting when I do the recaps in terms of the transfers outs and the transfers ins that we do every year on the channel, that I'm sitting here talking about another centre-half coming in, because now that apparently the Mendy links and all that stuff, that's fell away. The kid had played 10 games. Was he going to fix anything for us anyway? You know what I mean? 10 games. That's it. I want to see a centre-half sign, and I need to see a left-back sign. Because see if we done it after what we've seen in the absolute horrendous way we've been giving goals away this season. It's sheer negligence. Genuinely, it's reached that level. Speaking of defensively, we segue there. I want to talk about Manny Fernandez, right? Because we started this game of football. Let's go ahead and get into the match recap. Now, the starting 11 was Liam Kelly, who had a very good slight challenge, weirdly, in about the 10th minute, by the way. We had Max Aarons, we then had Nasser Giga, we then had Manny Fernandez, and we obviously had the aforementioned Bailey frickin' Rice. That was the back four with the goalkeeper, and then you go into the midfield and it should be a hell of a lot better as you've got Rothwell anchoring, and then you've got the two attack-minded and the creative players in terms of Barjami and Kieran Dowell. That was your centre mid spots, where again you've had Mikey Moore making his start. Up top you've got Danilo, who is relishing the opportunity and the chance that's been given to him after working hard in pre-season. Yeah, that's gone great, mate. And then over on the right hand side we have the return of Oscar Cortez, fresh off the news that he's been took out the European squad, and then he's been dipped in versus a game to Alloa to show he's got a wee bit of something in. I almost feel bad for the kid, you know, because people forget he's still only 21, and this kid's got nail luck. The only luck Oscar Cortez has got is nail luck, and you could really see it in the day's game. But getting back to where I started that long paragraph off by talking about the defenders, the two centre-halves, I was very interested to see, right, because on paper you've got Nasser Giga, who's been probably our best centre-back so far this season, and then of course Manny Fernandez, who we spent some moolah to bring in. And you talk about how bad we were last season defensively and how bad we were in terms of standards and who's actually at the football club and who we unfortunately let go in terms of last season. Is you're probably expecting an improvement, or at least a statement made in terms of who we go ahead to sign. So it probably should be Giga and Manny Fernandez every single game. New era, new this, new that. So I'm very interested. I was very interested to see how they would play. And Manny Fernandez, we've basically been told to expect to hear clown noises every time this kid tries to touch a ball. The Peter Bravan's is the worst player in the world. I didn't actually think he was that bad today, you know what I mean? You can see he's quick across the ground. I thought he was very confident in the ball, sometimes too confident, as he scared the absolute life out of me, if I'm honest. But he's 6'6", and he was actually getting up there winning headers. And again, we got to witness today, despite the frustrations, despite the mono, we got to see a Rangers centre-half winning a header for a set piece and scoring. I thought I was dead. Now again, is he the perfect player or anything like that? No, but if you look at how little he's actually been given to play this season, he wasn't any worse than I was expecting John Souttar to be. He wasn't any worse than anybody else I've seen play the centre-back spot in terms of Rangers so far this season. So I wouldn't be against seeing him going forward, just to see if he can kick on and improve in certain areas and add other aspects to his game. So despite my frustrations here, there and everywhere, I'm not aiming it at Manny Fernandez today. I thought he'd done more good than bad in my personal opinion. And again, just having somebody on the park that can win a header is really refreshing to every single Rangers fan. But of course, we will talk about Manny Fernandez in the next couple of minutes. So let's dive in to this game recap then, shall we? Again, the starting 11 was what it was, but it was a bright start for Rangers, and it was a forward-thinking one. Rothwell actually plays the ball forward quick, gets it straight into Danny. Danny plays out to Mikey Moore, and Moore takes his man on, has a wee shot, and it goes just wide. But again, it's positive. 1, 2, 3 passes, and we've got a shot. That's what we need at this football club. We didn't need centre-halves doing 120 passes between us. 1, 2, 3, shot. I kind of never went in, but that's what I want to see in terms of Rangers. And again, the next couple of minutes saw the exact same thing happen. This time, it was Mikey Moore and Baylor Rice, who, to be fair, looked pretty good when he managed to get up near the opposition box. You know what I mean? Like a midfielder would actually look. I'm not getting in here. Troops, but he whips in a very, very dangerous ball. I'd say Danilo is a bit lazy here, no, for the first time in terms of his movement. It just doesn't track it, doesn't gamble on there, and Cortez can't get to it either as he whips in a very, very dangerous ball. Does Sir Rice. And then in the next couple of minutes, again, we get the ball down. 1, 2, 3, right to Mikey Moore. Mikey Moore hits it with the left foot, drills it across. The goalie spills it, but Danny again on the heels rather than the taze, and a potential chance goes missing. I think he also tries to kick the ball that's eventually then kicked with the goalie, but the goalie's already spilled it. I think if he's a bit sharper, he can nip in there first, maybe smash it into the back of net. But it was a bright start again. And look what we're talking about. 5 minutes into this game, there's been 3 attacks created, all for getting the ball quickly to Mikey Moore and him being bright. And just before we put the ball in the back of net, Mikey Moore cuts in and has another shot that's well saved by the goalie. Mikey Moore then cuts the other way, puts one to the back post that Cortez, to be fair, does brilliantly to keep it in, but Kierendale doesn't pull the trigger, ends up passing it outside the box, which was like, you could feel it in the crowd. But it was just heating up, and then after Liam Kelly done that slide challenge when there was a potential mix-up in terms of the back line, again, we just kicked the ball to Mikey Moore, and this time, ironically, based on everything he's done in the opening 13-14 minutes, it does the simple thing, but the quick thing, and that's identify that Barjami's there on his own. So does he faff about? Does he take 100 touches? No, he goes, just a simple pass to the wide open man, and then Nadim Barjami remembers what he used to actually be like, and that was a guy that had shots, and he just hits the old pitching wedge on it and just curls it right in the bread basket. I think it ends up hitting the underside of the bar, or maybe the top. No, I think it is the underside of the bar. Phenomenal goal. But that's a guy that's got a catalogue filled with phenomenal goals like that, and somehow, some way along his line in terms of wearing the Rangers shirt, he's forgot that he can pull the trigger, and he is capable of that. Oh, it's Alloa. I didn't care. Look at that. First touch, bang to set yourself, then it's smashing into the back of net. That quickness is what we need. So it was nice to see Barjami get back to his best. And I went, alright, okay, let's see if Barjami is going to turn up here. And he never really kicked on. I didn't think he was bad or that the day, but it was a great goal. And it took Mikey Moore 13 minutes to grab his first assist for Rangers in his debut for the club. So as you can imagine, I'm pretty sure every single one of these are thinking the same as me. Just keep feeding Moore. Just keep kicking the ball. Just keep playing fast. But again, for some painful reason, we score and then we just take it down. Just take it down 25%. Just take it down 30% intensity. We just slow it down over the next 10 minutes. We were still trying to get it forward, but it's not the same way we were attacking before we scored. Maybe we're trying to get more control of the ball, but we just slow it down just a wee bit. And you know, ladies and gentlemen, we're not good enough defensively, no matter what level you're playing at, to ever rely on one freaking goal and ever get comfortable. And the way they end up breaking us down is genuinely painful, because you're watching Baylor Rice get absolutely scanted in terms of the pace department. One ball down on the ground just by him. The man absolutely burst by him like meep. That, I'm sure I heard a meep. You know what I mean? Maybe somebody else could tell me. He looked like a coyote trying to go ahead and catch him, and you can just see him, he's just blowing at his arse. He can't get anywhere near it. The boy comes in, he's then got this. Kelly, for some reason, starts to come out, and then he just smashes the ball. I'm pretty sure it hits Rothwell's ear at one point. I'm going, oh my god, it's going to be a penalty anyway. And then it's bouncing about. I'm pretty sure it hits every Rangers player, and then it ends up going into the back of net, and you're thinking, saying, that is the single worst bit of defending and the worst goal I've seen this Rangers team concede since our very last game. And the added painful cherry on the top, troops, is, do you know where our other best centre half of the season was? Lying at the halfway mark, holding his face, and he didn't even get touched. You know what I mean? You go back and look at it's a perfect challenge, but again, we're just so soft, man. We are so, as soon as we get touched, we're like, oh, my knee, I need help. And, oh, my knee, it's embarrassing, man. Just get up and play. There's about 45 seconds for when Giga goes down at the halfway line till they've put the ball in the back of it, and he lies down for about half of that and then slowly gets up. Again, that's what I'm talking about. You need people that truly say, right, I better get up and run through this brick. What, I better do that. But hey, conceding bad, embarrassing goals seems to be the way of this Rangers team, and we're doing very little to ever try to change it. So can we expect anything different? Annoyingly, and especially for my sanity and what's left any resemblance of Blackhair's own this Nasher, we didn't seem to be doing it anytime soon. But thankfully we do get back going forward. We do start winning the ball, and to be fair, Oscar Cortez again is a little bit bright on the right hand side, takes a nice wee beautiful touch that gets the free kick. And this is what I'm talking about in terms of this laddie, you know what I mean? He's not getting any goals and any assists, and when he does something right, he never really gets the credit for it either. But he wins a free kick in a dangerous area. Then Joe Rothwell, Mr. Set Piece in terms of Leeds, curls it right into the bread basket to something that's 6'6". Looks like he jumped a trampoline, man. He jumps up and bang into the back of net, and there was almost a shock reaction for the crowd. We're like, that's what it's supposed to be. That's what could happen, Rangers, if we buy tall defenders that can header the football. You know what I mean? Brilliant goal for Manny Fernandez, and if we can get this guy feeling more comfortable and add different aspects to his game to make him more of a well-rounded centre-half and really push him on, that's a weapon we need in Scottish football, both defensively but also going forward, and that could finally start grabbing us some of these cheap goals, if you want to call them, in terms of set pieces, which feels like we never ever score. But brilliant finish for Manny Fernandez. I think he almost overjumped it, if I'm honest with you, but brilliant finish, and we needed it. We really did. But it's time to get back to how unlucky is Oscar Cortez. Mikey Moore, surprise, surprise, brilliant down the left hand side, whips a phenomenal ball into the mixers, and I don't know if Danilo's meaning to leave this, or he's just took a really, really dodgy touch and he's ended up nutmegging himself, but it goes right to the back post. Oscar Cortez gambles, he's in the right place, gets stuck in, big slide challenge, hits the ball, but it ends up getting well saved, and you're thinking, oh no, man, it's just the way it is for this laddie, you know what I mean? Just when he seems like he's going to get that wee break and maybe just start feeling good about himself, because again, he's still a young lad. He just can't put the ball into the back of net, and that was the real biggest last moment of the first half, if you want, because I'm not going to go too into depth, because again, it is against Alloa. We're expected to win these games of football, but you also had another shot for Mikey Moore that was very well saved. You had a Danilo snapshot, you had another snapshot for Barjami, but that was sort of it in terms of the first half, and you think to yourself, right, 2-1 up, we've had our bad defensive goal conceded, let's really push forward and get the third, let's get the fourth, maybe get the fifth, dare I say, get the sixth, and start putting just a resemblance of fear factor back to Ibrox, so you can, if you're a duffer, you're coming here and you're going to get destroyed. But aye, there was very little of that bite or boil to the game at all. Oh aye, by the way, I forgot to mention, just before half time, that's when Bailey Rice went off the park injured, as Tavernier came on and played left back for the rest of the first half, which I'm pretty sure I mentioned earlier on in the recording, but I'm not 100% sure on what happened to Bailey Rice. It looked like either his calf or his hammy, maybe even his groin, I don't know what it was. You just, when you see somebody walk off the park right out, there wasn't like, oh, I'm doing for 10 minutes. It was, yeah, I'm done here, and walked off. So that doesn't look very good. Hopefully there is a speedy recovery for the young man, and hopefully still, if there is any resemblance to truth in any of the links with him maybe going to Motherwell or here, there, or anywhere in terms of the top flight, that he's fit enough to get that move, because if there was ever a kid that needed some consecutive and consistent game time, it's that boy right there. And maybe not getting played out of position, played out of here, just trying to develop him to see if he could potentially be what he was highly prospected, highly touted to be a few years ago. It's needing that game time. So very interested to see what happens with Bailey Rice's rest of his time in terms of the transfer window, and of course how serious that injury is. But Tavernier came on, we get to half time, we're expecting an explosion, we get none. In fact, you have to wait about 8 or 9 minutes into the second half before you see a resemblance. Hey son, no surprise where it starts, ladies and gentlemen. Have a guess where the name is. Mikey Moore on the ball, wee bit the old stance up, plays the ball into the middle, the ball eventually falls out to Oscar Cortez. Cortez whips in a brilliant ball into the middle, and Danny tries that wee back heel flick that's very well, very easily saved by the goalie. But you're thinking, Kid's done the right thing again, eh? He's put it in the money, he's fed the number 9, 6 yards out, but Danilo can't finish. Again, it's another possible assist for the Colombian. But speaking of the Colombian, he's then heavily involved in the next major incident, which again was another 10 minutes after the last one. 10 minutes. Second half, Ibrox, poor start of the season. Players hoping to impress, needing to see sun. Another 10 minutes. Now we're 23 minutes into the second half and very little has actually happened in the game of football, but we eventually spark back into life. Mikey to barjami. Barjami has a shot that's well saved to the keeper, and then I'm seeing it, it's like slow motion, you know what I mean? I'm going, it's gone to the back post. Oscar Cortez there, he's making a run for it. It's like Baywatch. Just a slightly different view than it was prime Pamela Anderson. But the ball's coming out of the mixer and it looks like he's going to slap it in and get that goal he's confident needs. But then it's a phenomenal bit of defending. You're thinking, ends up getting trickling just when you're thinking, yeah, that sums up his day. And then there's no the corner. It should have been there. There wasn't a taking of the corner, and then the wee sign comes, oh, there's a potential check for a penalty. And I'm going, did he foul him in there? Then obviously you get told it's a potential handball check, and you're like, oh, so he must have saved it. And then I went ahead and seen it, ladies and gentlemen, and I don't know how you feel about this one, to be fair. It's one of the ones. The guy's jumping, right? He's jumping like that, and he's kind of on the run. So he's ran, he's jumping to block it, and his hand's down there, and it ends up. That was as far as I can lift my leg. I played my first game in 18 months yesterday. I'm very fragile. Let's not talk about it. Done well though. You would appreciate it. But anyway, he gets his end down there, ends up getting blocked, and it is given as a penalty kick, you know what I mean? So it is down there, it is outside his natural position if you want to go ahead to say it, but it was a little bit harsh in my personal opinion. But again, the referee looks at it, gets the angles, it gives the penalty kick and ends up booking the player. But Tav's on the part, Tav steps up, tucks away with a phenomenal finish. And see that bottom left, which is his left, by the way, in terms of that. It's the goalkeeper's right. That's where I just want to see Tavernier hit his penalties for now. I don't even want to see him go to the other side or try to do that. Just keep hitting that, mate, because that's your spot. Just step up there. Step up there every single time. I feel like he only ever misses when he tries to go the other way. I really feel. Just step up. Brilliant finish for the skipper. And you're thinking 3-1. They've had their wee fight back. They've had that, but they've just conceded a penalty. We've tucked it away. Let's kill this game off now, because surely they're out of spirits. And then you glance here and they're bringing on the likes of Big Connor Salmon. In 2025, we should be scanting this team. Did we? No. Now, of course, we had a couple of wee nearlies and maybes and one possible should be, but again, just the temperature still wasn't right. So we then went to the bench and brought on the likes of Egeman and Asgard. Great to see them get the first minutes. That's definitely a positive for this season as well. That's two very good football players, and when they're up to speed and fully fit and ready to go, hopefully they will make a drastic impact to what we are in terms of our creativity. And Egeman showed what Danilo isn't, and that's just the strength, and he's just got a wee bit some extra. I mean, his first couple touches, he sets himself up, has a shot, which, it goes wide, but I like that. See a striker that isn't afraid to have a shot, Troops, is what you really need. You don't need somebody that just wants to be everyone's best pal. Here's a pass for you, here's a pass for you, I'll run about. No, we need someone to take their authority and be like, aye, I'm the man, give me the ball and let me have a shot. Eggman tries that in the first couple of minutes, and then he shows what Danilo also can't do, and that's win the ball high up the park as he's in a wee bit of a wrestling match. Ends up getting the best of him, kicks it in there. Asgard, I think it's a wee back heel flick. It ends up falling to Kieran Dell, and Kieran Dell should burst the back of net here, but it's a very simple save for the goalie as it's hit straight at them, and that's 6-7 yards out, point blank range. Kieran Dell's got to burst that into the back of net, and I really thought he did, you know what I mean? I was like, oh, we're going to talk about Kieran Dell. Go, that's absolutely hilarious. But what wasn't hilarious, ladies and gentlemen, is where he should have made it 4-1. He's also directly involved in the fact that it ends up becoming 3-2 with a really frustrating lack of commitment, effort and desire in terms of defensively, because Connor Salmon runs our back line. They're going to break me. I feel like they're breaking me this year. They're breaking me. Connor Salmon ends up running a back line. There's a wee bit of scuffle. They end up winning a free kick. Right, from the free kick, the chip it, I think it ends up hitting the bar directly, ends up dropping out there, and Kieran Dell, instead of, getting up there and fighting for it and trying to win the header, he's like, you know what I mean? Looks like me when I pick a big boxy cereal out and I'm looking for the trolley for the missus. I'm like, You know what I mean? That's what he's doing. There's no jump, there's no buff, and that's someone that's supposed to be in the leadership driving standards. And I'm like, oh, you're picking on Dowler. I'm talking about a goal where the ball is dropping aimlessly at the back post, and the guy that's at the back post is sitting holding the boy's jersey rather than trying to shove him and trying to get up. Of course, I need to single out. Of course, I need to point it out. Now, the only good thing I get to say, ladies and gentlemen, is where he should have made it 4-1. Then he was directly involved in making it 3-2. He is also then directly involved in making it 4-1, which is the most Kieran Dowell thing you will ever hear. And it is truly that coin flip. But again, as much as he frustrates me and as much as I didn't think he is what we need to potentially be, what we want to be, I can't lie and say there's no a part of me that's happy that he was got an assist today. You know what I mean? Just to give him a wee bit of something, just a wee bit of something there. And it's a brilliant bit. His skill in the middle of the park. The ball drops in. Finlay Curtis has came on at this point. Alloa's chipping balls in. Alloa's pinching on it. We actually give the ball away straight from your kickoff, by the way. That's the level what we were talking about in the, oh my God, it's going to go wrong. Again, that's when we need that core. That's when we need that leadership. But we make a substitution. Finlay Curtis comes on for Oscar Cortez. We end up getting the ball in the middle of the park. Kieran Dowell, beautiful wee turn on the half. Then runs with it, ball carries it late in the game. Phenomenal pass to Finlay Curtis, weighted to perfection. Curtis tucks it away the bread basket, It is finished, it's game, it's set, and it's matched. And when you see Dowell play like that, he's played the full game. He's turned his man. He's carried the ball 20-30 yards and then played a beautiful pass. You say, there is football in him. There's a bit of football. But now it'll be 20 games before we see it again. And that's the frustration. But aye, that was it, ladies and gentlemen. And aye, it was a bit of a roller coaster and it was a little bit terrifying. But we survived 5 to fight another day in terms of the cup. And I believe we've either got Livingston or Hibernian. And yeah, they're tough teams. But when you get to the quarter-final stage, you get to the latter stages of these competitions, you need big performances. So hopefully we start to see it. Well, it was a great win today. It was great to score 4 goals. But when I sit here and say it's a great performance, no. I really wish I could. And I think a lot of you know that. If I could really get behind that, I would, ladies and gentlemen. But it's just, I need to see something a wee bit more than that. I need to see the temperature risen. But maybe now we've got the win. We've got that unfortunate monkey over back. Maybe we can then go and play Club Brugge. Step up to the European stage again. You know what I mean? Hopefully defy the... I'll bring the lucky hat. You know what I mean? I'll try to do it. It's never been beaten on a European night, by the way. So I'll bring the lucky hat, whether it's... Well, actually, it might be roasting. No, I'm bringing it! Troops, I'll bring it and I'll put it on. But anyway, there, hopefully we can raise it again and then just fill that way. A win, hopefully very good performance, and a win versus Club Brugge, and maybe just kickstart our season, especially with the additions of Mikey, especially with the additions of Egeman and obviously Asgard. But that left back spot needs to be identified and fixed now. That centre back spot still needs to be improved, and we need somebody there to help this young, incredibly young cohort, and we need to maybe help the leaders like the likes of Tavernier and Butland. If they're 2 guys that they try to drill in to these young laddies, if they're in there doing that, get more voices in there. Because again, was it our last video before, we talked about it wasn't just 1 or 2 experienced players were on the team. We had 8, 9, 10 in there driving the stands. The last time this team was successful, and then you're looking around the dressing room, you're just seeing young players absolutely everywhere, and every single one of them wants to go and play in the Premier League, and you're wondering why they half-arse it every other day when it's not the biggest and brightest freaking lights. You know what I mean? Hopefully we use what's left of this transfer window to get what this club badly needs. But it's very good to get a win. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down there in the old comment section below. Are you happy? Are you mad? Are you sad? Are you glad? Even if you're mad at me for being a wee bit frustrated about some of the performance today and some of the effort today, tell me it down in the comment section below and let's have that conversation. Before we do wrap up, shout out the legends that are signed up to the channel legend memberships. We greatly appreciate you, as we do those that are signed up to the supporter range as well. From me to thee, thank you. And to each and every single person that hits the like buttons, hits the subscribe button and fires their comments down there in the comment section below, week in, week out, video after video, no matter how many times you need to see this Nasher. Honestly, yous are the channel. You keep the channel on, you keep the lights on, so thank you to those as well. But until next time, I've been CJ992. I'll see you on Monday for the preview. Until then, maybe even a wee signing. You never know if this loan or that ever seems to happen. But until then, thank you all so much for watching. All the best and bye.